ho, Merry Christmas and welcome to a video where I give to you the most extensive book tracker you will ever find on the internet. I know, I think I am comfortable with making that claim, but yes, I am here with the 2022 version of my book tracker, which I have on my Excel sheet. I am really proud of this one, and I've put a lot of work into it, and I am here to give you like a free version of it. So if you look at the description down below, you can find a version of it which you can use. All you have to do is click file and make a copy, because well, not everyone can use the same version on sheets, right? So yeah, that's all you have to do to access it, and I am here to take you through the Excel sheet now and make you understand what everything is, but also help you understand how you can make certain changes to it if you have to, because this is very catered to my reading, but if you want to make any like changes to it, I will help you like with all of that as well. Also, fun news, I have made this option available where I can customize this for you. All you have to do is click on the link below where you can buy me a coffee, and I will like help you in this thing where I can customize it for you, whatever changes you want. We can discuss that via email, and you can have a customized version of this book tracker that I have. It's all like it's for a little bit of money, but all of that money goes into like my fund where I want to buy a tab, and I've been wanting that for a while, but like let's not like, it's fine. We're not here to talk about my artistic dreams but to talk about a bookish tracker. So let's just get into it. Alright, so just to start off, we have your first tab, which is 2022 books, which is where you will put all of your bookish information. So the first thing is pretty simple. You just write the name of your book, then the author. Next we have gender, and I have a wide variety of like options here. I have tried to be as inclusive as possible. Please do let me know if like there is anything that I have missed out. Sexual orientation for me also, I feel like personally I want to know if I'm reading more like people from the queer spectrum, so I've kept like a bunch of things. There is of course things, if it's unknown, you don't really know what their like sexual orientation is, or if it's maybe from like a author duo or something like that, and like it's all mixed up, so you're not too sure. So yeah, mixed is also an option, but yeah, otherwise I think I have covered the gamut of sexual orientation. In country, this is something that I personally want to know as well. I really like to know where the author is from, because I like to read from all of the countries if possible. If I could, I would. And yeah, I have also put ethnicity or secondary identity, and like yeah, this is basically because like for example, if a person is for example Vietnamese American, then I would put Vietnam here, and USA here, because their secondary identity is American and their primary identity is Vietnamese. But that's really up to you as to like how you cater to that, or like whatever you think. So like yeah, that's that. In terms of race, of course, also I have put all of this down. Next is if it's a new to me author or read before, but I've also added another option of whether the person is a debut author or not, because for example, they may be new to you, but they're new to you because you've never read them before, because they've never written a book before. So that's like a thing. So new to me, you would put if like they already have published a previous book before and you've not like read that. I also, taking from all the country thing, I like to know which country the book is primarily like set in. You can also put like fantasy or like space, because sometimes, you know, like if you read science fiction or whatever, that happens and it's not particularly based out of any country, so you just put like, hey, it's fantasy or like in space. Then in terms of age group, you have adult, young adult, middle grade, and children's. Of course, if it's fiction or non-fiction, I like to keep track of like all my fiction and non-fiction reads, how like what is the ratio. And then I have the main genre, which I have like all of these sort of genres. If you want to add on to the genres, like let me know, I can add some more. And then also like notable subgenres. For example, a book could be primarily known as a magical realism book, but they also have hints of like historical fiction or is said to be a classic, so that is an option. Then LGBTQI themes, I also like to know that personally, whether the book had any of those characters. So either it is present in the main character itself, or it's just generally present with some of the side characters or like people who are mentioned, or if it's not there at all. I also like to keep track of like what exactly that is. Another change I did was the Bechdel test. So the Bechdel test, I will put like an understanding for you as to what exactly it is, but essentially in a work of fiction, if there are two more women in conversation and they're not talking about men, that means that it has passed the Bechdel test, and for me that is important. I would like to be informed if my books pass a Bechdel test. So I have three options here, which is no, it did not pass it. It is yes, it did pass it and it was a meaningful conversation, or yes, it did pass it but it was not a meaningful conversation. So yeah, those are the options. If it is a non-fiction book or something and it doesn't pertain, you can just be like, well, it didn't make sense, so like you just leave it blank. And then this is a thing where, for example, I want to read more Dalit literature, for example, then I just have put it as like a tick mark. So if it is a Dalit literature book, then I just like click on it and it mentions that it is a Dalit literature book. So yeah, so you can do things like that for that. Next, another thing which is important to me is translated books. So whether it is translated at all, you can say no if it is translated from an international like country, or if it's an Indian translated book. These are things that I personally want to like keep in mind. I also want to know the amount of languages that I read from. So I also like say this is the language that like for example Marathi or Gujarati or Japanese. These are three languages that I read. And yeah, so that's basically that. I also like to see which region from within India that I read. So like these are just options. Now when it comes to like the month read, so these are just to have an understanding of when you started the book and when you finished the book. So for example, we are in January. We could say, I mean, we're not in January, we're in December, but you know, what I do over here is I just copy from here, and then I put it, and then I double click this, and then it goes into this calendar mode situation, and I can choose like, okay, 26th, and then I finish this, for example, on the 29th, and then it says that, oh, I finished it in 4 days, and then you're published, number of pages read, that's self-explanatory, book length, it gives you like all of these options, also like format read. I think this is important because it gives you all of these options, which is like if it was a paperback, ebook, audiobook, which are like normal, but also like I do this thing where I read like an ebook with a paperback, or like sometimes I have a paperback and an ebook, so it has all of those various options that like I kind of put down. Then there is shelved or new or borrowed. I should change that, but yeah, like I have like a library, so I borrow books from there as well, or shelved are books that like I've bought before this year, so before the year 2022, and then newer books that I bought in the year 2022. This is a new tab, which is books discovered via. Now this could change for like each person, but I have all of these different options of like where all I may have discovered the book. So like author is like if it's like I've known the author, so I knew that it was happening because I know the author. Bookstagram, book price, book club, bookstore, general knowledge. It's just like, oh, you kind of knew it. Internet search, if you're looking for something particular, you search for it. Storygraph, Goodreads, through a friend, through a book box, that could be possible, NetGalley, or through a publisher. I will show you later in the video how to like add more options for yourself, or like delete options if it's not like pertaining to you. And the next one is subscription services used, because I have a lot of book subscription services that I have, and I want to like keep track of which ones I use more often and which ones I don't. So there's Kindle Unlimited, Scribd, Storytel, Audible, Libby, Libro FM. These are all the ones that I have. You can add or delete. I will show you how to do that next. And then the next one is DNF, which is did not finish. So if you stopped reading a book in the middle of it and did not finish it, then you can just like click that as an option. You also have like this little like thingy over here, which then shows you like all of these options as to like why. My favorite one is everything is sucky. That's great. But yeah, so yeah, so that's basically what the things that you can like maybe use, and yeah, right, why you did not finish the book. Now, the next part of the tracker is the part where I sit down and assign value to my books in terms of the star rating. Now, that is a slightly convoluted way. It's not that convoluted once you start doing it. It's pretty like simple and easy. But I just want to like tell you in advance that you don't have to follow this. If you are a sort of person who like just generally knows what, like by intuition, what the star rating of a book is, or if you don't even believe in star ratings, that's totally fine. You can totally skip this part and move on to the next bit. But I just really like this system, so I follow the CAWPILE, but I've made some changes to it and called CAWPPILE. And basically each alphabet of CAWPILE or CAWPPILE has a certain like meaning, and then I attached a numeric value to this, and then we add it up and it becomes like a star rating. So I'm going to explain that to you, but before that I feel like I need to explain to you how I attach numerical value to each characteristic per se. So essentially many moons ago at work I was taught this thing called the Net Promoter Score, which I love. I love it, by the way. Essentially it's like, if you've ever been on a website and you've got this question asked, which is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to like recommend this product or site to a friend or a colleague, and then it asks you to like rate from 1 to 10. That is like the whole thing to get a Net Promoter Score. And essentially what it says is that if you give a rating from 1 to 6, that means that you are a detractor. That means that you did not like this book or like this product. If you give a rating from 7 to 8, that means that you were passive, like that it was fine, you didn't really have like too many thoughts per se. But if you give a rating between 9 to 10, that means that you are a promoter, that like you will in all probability be talking about this and like spreading the word about this product or whatever. So that's how I think about things when I put like a numerical value to my like characteristics. So if I'm going to like specifically going to be talking about, say for example, C, which is the characters of this book, then I will put a 9 and 10. If it's a 7 or 8, if it was just like fine, you know what I mean? And then like 1 to 6 is if it was like a detractor sort of situation where I just did not like it. So that is like my thought process when I put numerical values to things, but like it could change from person to person and you don't have to go according to like my thought process. But yeah, that was Net Promoter Score. Then now moving on into what CAWPPILE is. I thought I would explain this by talking about a book that I really like, which is this one, which is Tamas by Bhisham Sahni. So C is characters, and by characters it means like what you thought of the characters, if they are characters that will stay with you, if you felt like it was well done. For me, with this book, I felt like it was extremely well done, so I'm gonna give it a 9. Here you go. So I put it a 9 there. Next is atmosphere. If you felt like the everything that was happening around was really well described or not well described, if you remember the atmosphere, if you felt like you could picturize it, that's essentially the way I go about it. So again, for this book, I'm gonna give it a 9. Basically, read this book, guys. Next is writing. Do you think that the writing itself was good? Was like the things that you didn't mesh with, things that you liked, didn't like? That's essentially the thought process for writing. Simple enough. I really like the writing. I'm again going to give this a 9. And then plot. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think that it was good? It was something that you had seen before, not seen before? Was it unique? What were your thoughts with regards to the plot itself? I really like this one. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 though. I thought that it was really well done. And then next is pacing. This is a thing that I have added because I think that pacing of a book is really important for me personally. So I think with regards to pacing for this book, I'm going to give this a 8.5 again, because I thought it was great, but like maybe there was some things missing. Next is intrigue, in terms of like you were wanting to know what happened next. You were really curious as to like what was gonna happen. It kept you like hooked. So with that, for this particular book, I'm gonna say give it a 9 again. And then next is logic. Did you think that it was like just sound in terms of logic? Were the characters making sense? Were their motivations making sense to you? Were things that were happening in this book logical in terms of like just generally how things were going about? Did the magic system, if it was a fantasy book, make sense? Or like those sort of things, according to you. This is all according to you. So for me personally, for this book, again, I'm gonna give this a 9. And for enjoyment, is just generally like, did you enjoy reading this book? And for me, again, I'm gonna say a 9, and hence this is a 5-star freaking book for me. It is so good. So if you have not read this book, please do so. It is amazing. This is just a recommendation within this like tracker video for you. And then there's a separate NPS for this, which is like, where do I fall in terms of being a promoter, passive, or a detractor for this book? And for this book, I am definitely like a 10 on 10 in terms of like my NPS. I definitely talk about this book a lot and like shove it down everyone's throat. So yeah, that's where I stand. So those are generally like how I would rank or review a book, and that's how like I kind of figure out like what exactly my thoughts are with regards to this. I find this to be supremely helpful because it helps me like introspect about the book and all of that sort of stuff. So that's that. And then you can also put down like, for example, your reason for your score. So if there's anything in particular that you really want to like put down, then that is that. And that is the end for the 2022 book tab. Now what happens is, which is really fun, is to see your stats and things. Now just for stats and things itself, like there is I've put your favorite read month-wise, then you have your least favorite read month-wise, just because like I like knowing these things. Then there is your average rating. What generally you'll have to do is just do like average, just say average, like put that thing down, and then go to your 2022 thing and just select all the books of that month, and then just press enter, and the average just comes right there. So that's something that you're just gonna have to do yourself. Also in terms of number of books, these are things that I just add on my own. So like I don't know, for example, if I read 9 books in January, then I just put it there. In terms of number of pages, what you can do is you can just do sum, and then go and see in your 2022 thing in terms of the pages. You can just add it like this again, and then press enter, and then you have the sum there. This is something that I want to keep track of in terms of my new purchases versus shelf pre 2022. My bad. And then borrowed. So, for example, if it was like 4 were borrowed, 4 were new purchases, 3 were like on my shelf before 2022, and like 3 were borrowed. So that's, did I do maths right? No. Okay, 2 was borrowed. And then now we have maths right. So 9 books total, and this was how it was divided. So yeah, 4 were bought in 2022 itself, 3 were bought before 2022, and 2 were borrowed. So yay. And then comes the fun part, which is your like, I love graphs. So you just get to see like through all the information that you had put like in this, you get to see all the graphs here, which I just love so much. So over here I have the number of Dalit books that I read. So if you can change it to whatever you want to change it to. You have number of countries read, ethnicities, sexual orientation, gender, all of this information, which is just super fun and like really cool to like see. I love seeing these really colorful graphs. There is only one chart that you kind of have to be sort of careful about, and that is your overall rating chart, because if I put the rating chart just generally in terms of like from 2 to 160, which is where everything is, it would be really skewed in terms of like this, because I can't delete the zeros. It just, trust me, okay, it's fine. Just keep it to where the last read books are. So like if I change them by month on month just to see like where my overall ratings are. So just like, okay, it's 10 now, so I just, yeah, anyway, it's fine. That's basically it with regards to the charts. Isn't it fun? I love seeing all of these like fun charts. They make me so happy. The next tab is something which I think is super critical for me in particular, but maybe even for you, which is my money spent plus new books tab, which is where I keep track of all the books coming in, be it physical or ebooks, and just the amount of money that I spent on them. Because if you are like me, then you probably buy a lot of books, or even if you don't, you just want to keep track of like the money that you spend on them because you have a budget or all of that sort of stuff. I just think that it's like super helpful to just have all of this information on page and to keep yourself accountable, essentially. So this is what it looks like initially. I will get to like this aspect later, but let's just get into like how I put each book. So for example, it starts off with a date, and just as I've done with the previous one, I just copy paste, and then it opens. If I double tap on it, it becomes like a calendar thing, and I can put the date in. I then put the name of the book, the author, and then the genre of the book, because I like to know. You don't need to have this, but I like to know the total genres of books that I actually end up buying, then the amount that I spent on the book, and then I have the option of figuring out whether this was a book that I bought for myself, for me, if this was a book that I bought for someone, if this was gifted by someone, if it was an ARC, which is a book, what is it, advanced reader copy, which was given by the publisher online or physically. So these are the options. If you have any options that you want to remove or delete, you can always do that. And then of course there's format, which is like if it's an ebook or if it's a paperback, hardback, or an audiobook. And then of course I like to see whether I bought it from like a retailer online, which is like mostly Amazon or Flipkart, or from an indie bookstore, because I like to keep track of that. And then there's what was the reason, which was like, what was the reason why you bought this book? Like, please have a reason why you bought this book. And then of course if I read it at a particular time, then I like to also put like the date for that. So of course you can double click again, as I've said, and see when you have read it. And that comes to this part, which is where you can see the amount of books that I got in January, for example. And essentially what I do over here, this again is something that you'll have to add yourself, and it's not something that I can do for you. But essentially what I do is I essentially say count. I just do like count, and then I count all the ones with Jan, like I just put them together, and then it says, okay, this is count, it's number 10, there are 10 books. And then over here also I do count over here, and then books read, and then I use that and just put that in, and then it says, okay, there are 3 books that you read. For the amount spent on the books, I just do sum again, and then just put in it for the amount of books, amount of money that I spent on that. Then I have amount spent on subscription services, because you do end up spending money on subscription like services on a month-to-month basis. So that's something that I like to keep in account as well. So I basically do equals to, and then if I use Kindle Unlimited over here, or if I use Audible, but I hadn't used, say, Storytel or Script, then that's it. For the month of Jan, then that's the total I spent on subscription services, and that is the total that I spent in the month. So that's what I have there. I also have like this little like chart over here, which tells me like whether I got a hardback or how many paperbacks I got and how many ebooks I got. It also kind of tells me if I bought stuff from Amazon, if I bought from Indies. I can just put like, oh, I got from Indies, and then I bought one on Flipkart, and then it changes here. So that's cool. And then over here I have like the total number of ARCs that I have, which were advanced reader copies that were given by publishers. So the physical ARCs and the online ARCs, and this all comes in automatically. Yeah, that's basically it. The last tab is of just more information about my personal rating system. It doesn't have to be your rating system, but it's my personal rating system, and if you want it to change, then you can change it, but like tell me and I will explain to you how it has to be done. But yeah, also more information about like the NPS system, which I explained, and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically that. But that is the end of the trackers. I am now going to show you very quickly as to how to change things within the tracker system itself. So the first thing is, for example, if you want to change anything over here, you can just do that by like clicking on it and then changing the name. So for example, if you want to read books more by BIPOC authors, then like this could be the option where you do that, and you can just change that. You could also just like delete things that you think don't make sense to you. So for example, if you don't want to know what Bechdel test is, then you can just delete this entire column, but just make sure that you go and like then delete it from here as well. So maybe you can change like the graph and put like translated books here, and what's it called, you can move this chart up and all of that. So you'll just have to move things around essentially. But yeah, so that's something that you can do. I'm just gonna bring back my Bechdel test because that's what I want. But like for example, if there are things from over here that you want to change. For example, if your subscription services are different and you have more subscription services, what you'll do is essentially just like copy all of this, and then you would go to data and data validation, and within data validation you can just make all of your changes over here. So like if for example you don't use Libro FM, then you can just delete it from here, and that's it. And if you want to add something else, you just put a comma and add whatever else you want to add. So yeah, I'm just gonna cancel it because I want mine to remain, but that's essentially how you can add or subtract anything from within a certain what's it called, like column. Yeah, I think that explains it. If there is anything else that you have, any questions that you have with regards to the tracker, do let me know. If not, remember, if you want your own customized tracker, then like you can pay me to help you make one. It is for quite cheap, if I have to say so myself, and you will be helping me greatly in terms of like fulfilling my artistic destiny. I don't know. But yeah, that is essentially it for this video. As I said, if you have any questions or anything, do let me know down in the comments below. This is probably my first video for my end of the year in thing that I do. So like look forward to many more videos that will come up. Tomorrow I'm going to be coming at you with a very fun announcement, which I've been meaning to tell you for a while now. So very excited about that. I will see you in my next video. I hope this was helpful.